Hello and welcome to the general podcast about general things. I'm Edward.
I am Scott.
Today we talk about Pornhub and its users in Hawaii on a certain day. Then we talk about submarines and nuclear protocol.
Then we talk about skin grafting and if you can grow penises on your arms, and general animal facts and stories.
And then that moves us nicely on to isolation cases in psychology.
Apparently it does. I don't see the link, but it does.
There's a segue there somewhere. If you really try hard enough.
We'll find one.
I found an article for Scott this week. So in Hawaii last week, there was a nuclear bomb warning.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was essentially an emergency alert onto phones that said, this is not a drill and there is a bomb coming. It was retracted and there was a I don't think there's an apology alert, but a false alarm alert. And the Hawaii missile alert traffic change for Pornhub changed as follows. So apparently, I think the message hit at 8:07 a.m. that the ballistic missile was on its way, and 8:09 they started to notice a traffic change, where from this was a Saturday morning, and they compared it against the previous two Saturday mornings. So at 8:23, it was minus 77% of traffic from the norm of a usual Saturday morning at 8:23, and then at 9:01, shortly after the missile warning was retracted, traffic went up by 44%. So someone thought,
People are saying,
do you know what? I don't think I should have a wank right now. I'm gonna have a wank. Oh, okay. There's no ballistic missile. I'll have a wank now.
just the relief.
Yeah. I mean, concentration struggles.
Yeah, actually.
And I'm sure
like,
in that moment when
get
you're
up.
watching busty bitches or whatever,
You just can't get
you're gonna well, exactly, and you're probably gonna have a complete mental breakdown of what the fuck have I done with my life. Yeah, waiting for that for the big bang and the big flash in the sky, and you're like, well, this is it.
I can't imagine anyone wanting to end their life, not finishing.
Well,
Just
exactly.
half the job kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't ever really want to die with a boner. You might as well die just after you've had a boner. That reminds me of the 1,000 Ways to Die, where number one was
The Chinese
couple
Yeah.
who were married for 5 years and who'd never had sex.
What were they, like 50 or something?
No, I think they're like in their 30s.
30s.
They'd never had sex, and they were just too nervous or too self-conscious, and they were seeing sex counselling and things, and a psychologist and stuff. And one of them the husband came back from work and said, "We're chugging this wine right now, and then we're gonna fuck." And then both of them climaxed at the same time, and both of their heart gave out at the same time.
Wow.
I mean, there's an orgasm.
Yeah,
And then
they must have
there's,
been. They must have been good.
It must have been like
Well,
pretty.
it was definitely the best sex of their life,
That's sad, but true
and also the worst.
at the same time.
At the same
Also,
time.
the shortest and the longest. And well, yeah, yeah. I mean,
That is interesting
that is interesting, isn't
to
it?
see what people's sort of mentality is dealing with what could be the end of the world. Because I saw
what
that
they think is the end.
Yeah,
of the world.
I can't believe that happened. That's terrible. The amount of people that
Yeah.
because saw a clip on Twitter. It was a basketball match, and it just came up with the writing across the screen. Like they cut the audio feed and just put on, "There is a nuclear bomb heading towards Hawaii. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. Get inside." It's like, what?
Yeah, there was a.
That would have been crazy.
I'm a big fan of Vsauce, and he did a couple of not a couple of videos on it, but a couple of bits that included it. and it's eerie.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the video was.
Well, you would
for the
think,
life of me,
especially
but-
in the current circumstances, you'd think it was probably real.
Well, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
If it was me there, I would have been like, "Holy shit, it's happening! It's happening! It's been building up for years, and now it's happening."
Oh, well, I read an Ask Reddit on it, and basically no one said that it was surprised or anything. A few people said that it wasn't real, and a lot of them just kind of sat and was okay with it.
Yeah, but like it's weird because like it came up on people's phones. Like I've got a weather warning right now. It's like for a wind effect until 9 a.m. GMT, and I believe that because that's the weather, and like that's actually on my phone.
Yeah, you do kind of trust it.
Yeah, and it came up on people's iPhones and stuff.
Yeah.
Saying there's a nuke.
Yeah.
Coming right now. Weird.
There was also, I don't know if you've heard of Tom Scott.
No, that's me and my brother though.
Yeah, that is you and your brother. He is a YouTuber who just does kind of interesting things, similar to Vsauce, but much, much, much shorter videos.
Right.
And apparently, and I don't know, I'd like to think this is true, but most countries have submarines around the world monitoring and, But the one of the protocols for us, for our army, for the English army, essentially some of those submarines have got nuclear capabilities, or missile capabilities at least, and the commanders of those submarines would have immediate access to, wipe out a city if they wanted to. Now, that's not always allowed to happen. Like that's essentially last resort. That's a retaliation effect. Effectively, it's not. You don't really strike first, but one of the protocols for the do you do this or not is you'll get something from the Prime Minister or the Queen or blah blah. I don't think it's the Queen, but like the Prime Minister usually, and the higher officers in the army. But one of the baseline, if you cannot hear this signal, you can either make the decision to go out in a blaze of glory or run and hide because Britain is gone, essentially. That signal is...
Beep, 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 beep.
I thought you were going to say BBC4 because it's BBC4, because that's one of the baselines that the submarines use as a reference.
But so does that mean? What do you mean though? Because if the whole country's gone,
if communications go down, and they for some reason can't contact their governing body, i.e. the government or a higher officer in the army, I believe it's one of their protocols is just to look for the BBC4 radio wave, and the frequency of that, and essentially work off that. And if they can't find, if they have no means of communication with anything of Great Britain, and they can't take the next step, every submarine manned or every submarine with the capabilities of missiles has a safe on it, which includes a letter from the current Prime Minister saying what they should do in that event. So then it says, right, either...
I'd like to read that letter.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you saw, this goes back to the Vsauce thing. President Nixon was written a speech to give if Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin
and the other
didn't...
guy.
Yeah, and the other guy who no one can remember.
The forgotten hero.
Went to the moon and can't return.
I'd have liked to have read that as well.
That's on the internet.
You can read that?
Yeah, you can read that.
Oh, I'm going to have a read of that. This reminds me of the thing that BBC have planned for when the Queen dies and things like that.
Oh, they've got loads of obituaries.
Yeah,
that they like XXXX out the dates and the circumstances and put in what their achievements were and what they did.
Yeah. I mean, it's efficient, but it's also quite... I just feel like there's something morally wrong about that. It's like...
Really?
Preparing... Yeah, If I was that person and I saw all these things that people are preparing for when I die, I'd feel a little bit, like, guys, like it's like someone planning your funeral before it's happened.
But
which I think's a bit.
The thing
wrong.
is that like there's a difference between planning a funeral for your, for your dog or your uncle or something. Or
Yeah, true. But at the end of the day, it's still a person.
yeah,
And I guess news needs to be to the second news kind of thing. If the Queen dies, they need to have something to go on.
yes.
Like, i.e. pre-made montages and things like that. But I still think that's... I don't know. For a business side, it makes sense. But for a human side, like ethical side, it doesn't.
And for something like the moon landing, so many things, a billion and trillion things could go wrong. That it's almost silly not to prepare for it because if it comes to light that that they couldn't come back, and I'm sure this was probably written before they even went. So if it came to light that they couldn't come back, and it was like, well, they because I believe they say they will either have to, because they had cyanide pills with them in case of this emergency, because like it's a mercy for them to die quickly rather than not. So they said they can either starve themselves to death. Essentially, they can either starve to death or they can kill themselves. That's their two choices. But the speech goes as this: Fate has ordained the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. These brave men, Neil Armstrong and Edward Aldrin, know that there's no hope for their recovery, but they also know that there is hope for mankind in their sacrifice. These two men are laying down their lives in mankind's most noble goal, the search for truth and understanding. They will be mourned by their families and friends. They will be mourned by their nation. They will be mourned by the people of the world. They will be mourned by a Mother Earth that dared send two of her sons into the unknown. In their exploration, they stirred the people of the world to feel as one. In their sacrifice, they bind more tightly by the brotherhood of man. In ancient days, men looked at stars and saw their heroes in the constellations. In modern times, we do much the same, but our heroes are epic men of flesh and blood. Others will follow and surely find their way home. Man's search will not be denied, but these men were the first, and they will remain the foremost in our hearts. For every human being who looks up at the moon in the nights to come will know that there is some corner of another world that is forever mankind.
He was good at speeches.
Huh?
He was good at speeches.
He didn't write that.
Oh. Okay, well, the person
also,
who
correction,
wrote his
apparently there
speeches-
was not a third man.
There was. There definitely was.
I don't... Well, apparently not. They don't mention
There
him there.
was, because there
Clearly
was
they
that
don't
whole
care.
thing about when, because he never left the shuttle, the third man. And there was that whole thing, I
Why
can't
not?
remember who was saying it, but it was like when Buzz and Neil went off to explore the moon, that man was the loneliest man in the world.
Yeah, I'd agree. Could you imagine...
So there was another guy.
Well,
I'm sure there was.
yeah.
Anyway.
But that's a very, very serious speech.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, that kind of like moral compass of, well, actually, shit does go wrong. It's not... I don't think it's admitting failure by making that speech, because
No.
clearly it didn't. But
Because news
have
travels
to
quick
be-
and you need to be ready, I guess.
you do have to be ready.
Yeah.
And it's the same as, like, obviously, all the talk about nuclear warheads and things and nuclear bombs. I don't believe in the Geneva War Actions Act or whatever, I don't know. I don't believe it is allowed. I don't think nuclear bombs are legal in war. They
weren't. I don't think they ever were they?
No, they
After
weren't.
the World War II.
No, and I don't think they were during World War II. But
Well, they weren't invented before.
I don't know. I don't think they were ever allowed.
really
But same
knew
thing
about
as like
them.
in World War One, mustard gas was a big no-no.
Mm.
You don't use mustard gas; it's considered cruel. Yet everyone used it.
It's funny, that, isn't it?
Well, it
How
is
stuff
funny,
can be
but
considered cruel.
if you are naive enough to think that your foes and your enemies that are
Yeah,
that are waging war against you won't break
Yeah.
the rules to beat you. You're naive enough to die.
Yeah,
Like,
I really wish we could take over. Yeah, but we can't use nukes. Yeah, but I just want to kill everyone.
yeah, well, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
They're not gonna stop.
Like someone like Hitler and Kim Jong Un and blah blah blah
They're
don't
not
give a
gonna-
shit about the rules.
No.
That's how they got there.
Yeah.
Well, not quite. That's not
But
how
that
they
was
got there,
that. It's
like-
funny that how something can be considered cruel in a time where people are just killing each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
It's funny how something so barbaric as war has something so
rules.
orderly as rules.
Yeah.
It's like completely opposite to what you would think, and it's not far from the realms of the imagination to kind of think, well, what happens when there isn't any rules?
Mm.
Like, those kind of deals are most of the time true.
Yeah.
I think it's not exactly. If you immediately put yourself at a disadvantage because you just refuse to not do something,
It doesn't
you're going to
always
cost a
work,
lot of
does it?
lives.
Yeah.
You've got to be cruel to be kind sometimes. And the thing is like, if you are in a position where you can decide whether or not you can fire those, if you sit there and, if you're in a position where you're attacked, say, I'm the president of the United States, and Kim Jong Un has just launched a nuclear missile at Hawaii. I need to retaliate fast, and that will
well, that's the
always
thing
include
that I was
a nuclear
thinking.
bomb.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking when I saw that. I wasn't more thinking, oh my god, that's horrible for the people of Hawaii. I thought, holy shit, that could start something.
Well, that's a war.
Yeah, that
afraid.
could start.
And the thing is,
if
I believe
if the right people genuinely believed it, then they could have been like, well, we've got to do something.
we should just react right now.
Yeah.
But I believe,
It was like the beginning of kind of the Cold War.
yeah. Well, that was
Where-
just a big kind of like fight without throwing any punches.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
just
the
a-
whole plane getting shot down.
Yeah.
And it was commercial plane that got shot down, but I can't remember who. But they were like, no, actually, it was a spy plane. They thought it was a spy plane, so they shot it down. It turns out to be a commercial plane, but they still said it was a spy plane. So something like that. I don't know much about it. So I'm not
No.
going-
No, I can't.
But that's
talk
what
much
kind
on
of
the
what
Cold War,
started
But
it.
the Cold War was mostly, it's essentially what it is now on Twitter with Donald Trump, which is just
It started like that Friends
Petty.
scene where it's like, they know that
that
we
we know
know
that they
and-
know that we know.
It
They
was
know.
something like that.
Yeah,
And
they
it
know
was
that
just
we know,
so
but do they
petty.
know that we know that they know
Yeah.
that we know?
Exactly.
Or
Something like that.
It's just like it is just a big kind of bluff.
Yeah.
And if you are the president of the United States and you sit there and say, I'm going to be the bigger man, I'm going to be the bigger person and not use nuclear bombs, you're dead.
Yeah, you gotta
And so are
be prepared to use it,
a billion other people.
but in the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the kind of general rule, or rule of thumb, not quite a rule, is if they do it first, it's okay to do it back.
Like Rambo.
Well,
He
yeah.
drew first blood,
Yeah.
so I can.
So
so I can murder him.
You can draw
with a
second.
trap. Yeah.
But don't draw first blood, and then you're the bigger person.
yeah,
Essentially, like that's when I think that's when the morals come in, where if it's a retaliation and you're defending yourself, it's not murder.
Mhm.
Which I think is a legitimate.
Well, I remember I used to do kickboxing,
Mhm.
and you sign a license at the start saying you are not allowed to use this unless it's a sort of a matter of life and death. kind of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, it's always if they start. But you learn that in school. I remember a few cases where someone would get let off the hook because someone else sort of started wailing on them, and then they were like, "Well, actually, go on then," and then
Yeah.
gotten worse off. And
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah,
Like
that's fair
if
enough.
you are not prepared, like
But what
if
isn't
you know
right,
that if you attack first, they can't do
but
anything
what
back to you,
isn't
why don't
right
you
is
attack?
provoking them to attack you first.
Yes, yeah, I
That's
did.
not right.
There was someone who was done for murder because they, I believe they left that they had a. It was in America, and they, this white guy had set up essentially in his garage, it to be open and there to be a handbag out in the, door,
Right.
and made it look like someone had left it there. and this, waiting for this guy, black guy, to come along, and he picked it up in good faith and was going to be like. I can't remember exactly how it went down, but basically, more than likely, it was in good faith, and it was just like, you've left your handbag out here,
Yeah.
please take it, and you've also left your garage open, and he just shot him down.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And it was like, you were stealing something. It was like, no, that's murder.
Yeah.
That's called baiting.
Yeah.
It's
like
baiting
those,
and trapping. You murdered him.
Yeah.
There's no other line there. That's flat out wrong.
Did you see? I think this was on Tuesday. How YouTube have screwed a lot of people over.
Yeah, what with the
partner program thing.
Yeah, they've upped it to, was it 4,000 hours a year and 1,000 subscribers?
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours.
That's a lot of subscribers to get.
Both.
And that's really kind of frustrated me a little bit. Because it's not personally affecting me.
No.
Or anything, but I feel like there's a lot of innocent people just trying to have fun have been shafted.
Yeah, but
real
then,
bad.
and
it's so corrupt.
They're
basically saying, you don't make us enough money
to warrant the money that we're giving you.
To warrant the money we're giving you, so we're going to stop giving you money.
Yes, but I'm sure that their biggest expenses are all of the tiny YouTubers who are just making money.
Well,
I'm sure they are their biggest expense. If you added all those tiny YouTubers up in the revenue,
but that's not
the revenue that they cost to pay them, they wouldn't get nearly as much from all the other YouTubers above 1 million subs.
No, but that's not the point. That's
YouTubers are above 1 million subs.
If a person in Idaho has worked 2 years on a YouTube channel which has 700. I had a YouTube channel that had about 800 subscribers. You don't earn a living. You earn 30, 40 quid maybe a month. But still, if at the time I was 15, that was decent.
That's all right.
That went a long way. Yeah. And now, if that happened to me, if that happened at the time when I was doing that, then that would be taken away. And I know that there's a lot of people in that same situation.
Exactly.
And you add them together, it's a lot of money. But that's not the point. YouTube shouldn't have given that option in the first place.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. I don't know. I don't think I know enough about it to talk about it, but that's with most of the subjects I talk about.
It's basically they're just taking monetization away from small channels.
Yeah.
When they've got a lot more bigger public problems at
Logan
this
Paul.
time. Exactly. And they were warranting it so that no one breaches our community guidelines, i.e., some people uploading the wrong stuff. When really it's I don't know. It's a worry. I think someone else
regulate your fucking website better then,
or tell people who are quite significant on YouTube. Make a point.
Yeah.
Make a point saying, look, I don't care how many subscribers you've got. If you mess up and stuff, and we're gonna take you down.
Yeah, you're the same as everyone else.
It should be.
It's the same as
everyone
their
else.
rules.
But it's not. Yeah.
I think Logan Paul had one of his YouTube deals ripped up. And it's the same with the PewDiePie thing. He had so much.
Oh, the whole racist thing.
Yeah, and the
that wasn't so
Fiverr
bad.
Thing.
That wasn't
so bad.
As bad.
No, not at all. That wasn't so bad. I think
it's still a bad image.
But it's what came after that about the whole Nazi thing and about how, and he was totally.
Oh, the bloke, the Fiverr thing.
Yeah, and then he was stewed to be a Nazi, was it the New York Times?
Oh,
New York.
the kids in Africa that he paid.
They're in India.
In India or something.
But yeah.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
That was the Fiverr thing.
Yeah.
And he paid them to do the Death to All Jews, but he also paid someone to drink bleach. Don't know if you saw that.
No.
he said it was like, I will do anything for $5, and it was like, drink bleach. that was it.
He never got a response.
No, he got a response, and they
drank bleach.
and it was to, it was, I'm not drinking bleach. You do know that will kill me. Basically, was the
really
was her response, and there was also someone with the Hearthstone. Do you remember that? Like for £5, I will play Hearthstone with you for 2 hours or something. And it was like, do you want to play Roblox? You said no, only Hearthstone.
Yeah.
And it's like, you clearly have rules. So when he was pushing the limits and just making him absolutely fucking ridiculous, and it's just like, you would never do that in a million years. Oh shit, they did it.
Yeah.
Like,
but they didn't know any better. They probably don't know English.
What? No, but like, that was PewDiePie's mistake.
I don't know English. They don't know English.
No,
is that right?
That's right. I don't know.
It didn't sound
right. But there was
right.
also that other
don't know English.
There was that maths thing, that maths person who was good at making graphs, and they said, "Can you make a graph look like a dick?" And they said, "Don't waste my time." And it was just like, you're getting a fiver.
You're getting a fiver from it
for making
Have
a graph
some
look
sense
like a
of humour.
dick. Like, you are not. There's no way in hell you are going to be destroyed from that. Like,
you'd actually probably get a lot of views from that.
Well,
That's what the public want.
Yeah,
They want graph willies.
They do want graph willies. That's a weird way.
Did you hear about, speaking of that, skin graphing willies on arms?
Willies onto arms, arms onto willies?
Well, when you lose, for some reason, when you have an accident involving your willy,
right,
and you need a new willy,
yeah,
and you can skin
the
graft
inside of
them,
your arm is very sensitive.
they use your arm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's fine.
It is fine, but you can't wear t-shirts.
Yeah, you can. It's a scar. It'd be fine.
No, I mean when the willy's growing on your arm.
What are you on about?
Skin grafting.
Yeah, do you know how it works?
Yeah, they grow stuff on your arm.
They take skin from your arm.
I've seen photos of willies growing on arms, and then they take it off the arm and put it there.
What are you on about?
I'm sure that's how it works.
That's not how it works. They usually take a strip of the arm, yeah, so like that much, and then they essentially fold it into your shaft.
I just remember seeing a picture of a willy growing on an arm.
Yeah, that's not at all what happens. You live a very sheltered life.
I'm sorry, I'm not a scientist. I saw.
But there's also something called logic.
You can grow stuff on skin grafting.
Yeah, but you can't grow something out of an arm.
I'm sure I saw it.
Like, you can transplant, but then it also wouldn't be a dick because you're not going to have your testicles and shit.
No,
growing in your,
obviously
in your
it's not going to be
everything.
functional. A functional willy,
Yeah, okay.
but like a fake one.
Right, define fake.
Well, one that like when sex changes happen, guy to a girl, they can't become pregnant, but
No.
they can have a vagina
Yes.
that isn't functional in the sense of like biology functional, but
Yeah.
can still be used
As a vagina.
vagina.
But then anything can be used as a vagina.
Oh.
Let's not get into that.
Well, but you know what I mean. Like it won't be able to have babies, but you can wee out of it.
It won't be able to have... No, they won't. But I guess that level of science isn't there yet. But
I swear I remember seeing a picture of.
you might. I'm sure you probably saw it, but that's not a thing where they graft dicks
There
from
was that
your...
South Park episode, which I might be getting confused with.
Mm.
It was a mouse. Because you can skin graft from animals, can't you?
We can graft anything that
Yeah.
has skin.
Yeah.
Depends where you put it.
Well, they were growing an ear on a mouse,
Right.
and then
What, like a human ear?
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's not real.
Well, obviously not South Park.
Right. Okay.
And then
Good,
they,
I'm glad
they
you know that. Just wanna
decided
draw a line
someone
here.
someone needed a willy, and they started growing one on a mouse, and it got out of the lab, and there was just like a mouse with a dick on his head running about South Park.
Yeah. Yeah. Not...
But I'm sure I did
Doesn't
see.
quite work.
I did see. I'll tell you what I did see actually.
Yeah.
I got a headline for you.
Okay.
You probably did see this because it kind of turned into a meme. But I'm hoping you didn't. Australian man's thumb surgically replaced by toe.
I did see that. I saw that on Reddit, and someone said, "Can you imagine getting a wet willy from that fucker?"
Yeah, that's what I saw as well. But I just wanted to read the actual, because this is BBC.
Yeah.
This is legit.
Legitimate.
An Australian cattle worker whose thumb was severed by a bull has had his toe surgically transplanted to its position.
Mm.
Now, Zach Mitchell, 20, injured in April while working on a remote farm, said, "A bull kicked my hand into the fence."
Oh.
That's what he said, apparently. They put it in a cooler with some ice.
Ow.
Yeah. They put it in a cooler with some ice to sort of try and keep it from,
Preserve
usable.
the cells. Preserve the cells.
Usable.
Yes.
Despite initial reluctance, the cattle worker agreed to the transplant. Blah blah blah. But there's a sentence here somewhere. Here it is. 2 weeks since the operation, his walking is almost back to normal. Doctors say Mr. Mitchell should eventually be able to return to his hobby of bull riding.
Nice.
You can't take the man out of bull riding.
No.
Or however the saying goes.
You can't take the...
You
can take the person out of whatever place, but you can't take the place out of the person.
Something like that.
I
thought that was quite an uplifting story.
Yeah, it's quite good. You know, if you lose any kind of body part, you're supposed to put it on ice immediately.
Mm.
Like, even if you get your teeth kicked out or something, teeth should also be...
Really?
Yeah, you put your teeth in a...
Can you put a tooth back in?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're quick enough.
You're
quick enough with anything, really.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. It's funny, who the hell worked that out first?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good point. There was a story about an elephant who, because the big problem with elephants is that they lose their teeth and they can die from infection.
Oh, yeah.
And an elephant, a local elephant, some tribe or some
elephant.
village somewhere, a local elephant, lost his teeth, and the villagers made him wooden teeth.
Right.
And he still died because elephants they don't recognise that they are replacements for teeth.
Right. So this
we would.
Yeah.
We are told by someone that these will be your new teeth, and we're like, okay, we'll adapt to it. But the elephant was just like, what's going on?
It didn't work out.
Didn't work out. Elephant died.
I mean, I like the idea. That is a nice idea, but in practice, a lot of things with animals are difficult. Like, I mean, I remember Pip last night. He had a little something in his eye, and I was trying to wipe it, and I couldn't get it because he kept on shutting his eye. And I was trying to wipe it, trying to get it, and it was like he was understanding I was trying to help him. He just didn't like it, and it's just like if I push this too far, he's going to get to the point where this isn't helping me.
Yeah,
it's like I felt so sorry for my dog Pip, who is currently on my lap.
he is almost asleep. He's got his head resting on the table.
Yeah, bless him. I really hope my phone doesn't vibrate. No, we threw the ball for him down the garden. He just went head first, basically into a bush, and came out a bit gingerly.
Oh.
And he had a twig in his eye.
Oh, this was ages ago, wasn't it?
This was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 2, maybe 1 at the time.
I remember you telling me about this, actually.
And he had, like a little, like it almost looked like a splinter, and it was really bad. And he was not having any of it. He, we'd taken him to the vets before, and he wasn't great, but he was all right. And we were kind of going near it, and he just didn't want to know. And it was right in the corner of his eye, like where you would have sleep is where it was. And so we took him to the vets, and and prior to that, he had a bad experience with a needle, with the chip gun. The chip gun failed and didn't actually inject the thing, so he just had a hole in him for, and it was actually pretty nasty because it's in the back of his neck.
Yeah.
And essentially they put the gun in, and so you got to pinch the skin and you put it in, but essentially the needle that had the chip inside it failed, so that they went to fire it to put the chip in.
Yeah.
And it just fell apart, so they had to take it out, get another chip, and then put it back in the same hole, which wasn't ideal. And obviously he knew what was coming then, and it freaked him out and just basically ruined the vets for him. Not that it was ever going to be great, but But that time, nothing. He was like, okay, I need help here, and he understood, and we got the splinter. He got the splinter out, which turned out to be what looked like about a 0.5 centimeter splinter was actually about a 5 centimeter, 50 mil twig with like seeds and stuff on it, and that was lodged behind his eyeball. How he's got that lucky, and we didn't need anything, I do not know. But sometimes they know, sometimes they do know, but not all the time. And if it's not obvious, it's not.
So he must have ran into that bush and just a stray
Just
twig
jabbed
went,
it.
Oh man, that would be horrible.
Yeah.
That would be horrible.
Yeah, it would be horrible. I'm blind in one eye, in my right eye. I don't know what it's called. It's just like I see underwater. In all fairness, it's taken me to episode 2 to mention this. So that's not so bad.
That's a story for another podcast.
Yes. But as someone who, is terrified of losing my sight, essentially, which I'm not likely to do, but if I have an accident with my left eye, I'm fucked. There's no other word for it.
True, yeah.
I am fucked.
The glasses, because my granddad's got glasses when one lens is significantly chunkier, thicker than the other one. Chunker.
It's a new
would
word.
that help?
No.
Could you possibly?
It wouldn't, because it's not a problem with my eye. It's a problem with the nerves from my eye to my brain.
Right.
So, doesn't quite work as well as it should, which just means it doesn't work at all.
Right.
But if I had noticed prior to when I was 3, I could have had something done. I could have had essentially a nerve surgery. No, because I didn't notice. My parents didn't think to check. The only time I ever realised was because I asked my mum, why does only one of my eyes work? Is one just a fake? I legit. I was about 7.
Really
I think I was in year 4.
Should both my eyes be work? Wait, both your eyes work?
Well, I figured one is there for importance and the other one is there for
just to make you look normal. That's fair enough, If you don't know any better, then that is fair enough.
I never had an inkling anything was wrong.
That's really but this is what going back to the elephant. The elephant doesn't know that that's his teeth.
Yeah, or trying to be.
Yeah, because you don't know that you should have 2 eyes, like 2 working eyes.
I never even thought about it.
But that's probably a good thing that it's started from the because if that happened to you now, you'd probably have weird perception issues and things.
Well, no, that is something that is good because I am only blind in one eye.
And you've adapted to it, so.
Well, yeah, but my depth perception is actually still excellent because I still have sight in my right eye. It's not.
I see. It's not.
I see. Yeah, I mean, because I can see perfectly in my left eye. It's horrible in my right eye, but I can still see to some extent.
Like a reference.
Yeah. It still gives me the second view I need. But yeah, so I worked in CEX for a little while, and some customers came in.
CEX is like a trade-in shop, isn't it?
Yeah, for electronics and games. Yeah.
You might know it's Kex.
Yes, apparently, but don't ever call it Kex in there. I got bollocked for it. Also, the advert on TV calls himself Sex.
Do they?
Yeah.
The TV advert says that?
Yeah, but everyone else, because that came out when I was still working there, and everyone said, never have I ever heard anyone ever call it Sex.
Because that's a word that already exists.
Yes, and it doesn't mean...
it's spelt.
Yes.
Completely, well, not completely, but...
Only one letter.
Only one.
But yes, sex
exists.
Letter. Sex is an action with your previously mentioned Willy. And we also previously mentioned vagina. And or whoever you want to do it with.
Kex is an action involving trading in Xbox games and other platforms.
Not limited to Xbox, but yes. But yeah, so I was serving these 2 people who... were a couple, and they explained to me that they couldn't. Their vision was very poor, So they were partially. They're both partially blind.
Why are they telling you this?
Because I think I asked them, "Can you like?" They asked me where something was, and I said, "Oh, can you see over there?"
Oh, I see.
And they went. I went. No, we both had very poor vision.
Sometimes you do get customers
And
who
I-
just bring stuff like that up.
Yeah. And I said, I see. And I went, oops. And it was like, it was just one of those things where I was like, I'm sure they won't take offense to it, but
Just in case.
yeah, but I said it and it was funny. But there was also another time previous to when I worked in there. I think we were still in sixth form, and Scott was buying a.
Yeah.
We won't say the name. We won't say the actual name.
Okay.
So we're talking about a real person.
Yeah.
So we'll say. So there was this guy.
Jonathan.
Well, my dad's called Jonathan. Let's not do that.
Let's not do that one.
Freddie. So we were talking about someone we know called Freddie, whilst we're getting served in CEX.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And so I just kind of said, I don't like the name Freddie. I don't know why anyone would ever name
It was really aggressive the way you said it.
It was really-
why would anybody name their child Freddie?
Yeah, and this is because I don't like this Freddie guy. That is, it's a shit name and everything, and I was being really aggressive because I don't like this guy. And then there was little. We were being served at this point, and the person who was serving us was having trouble kind of locating something, so they gave a quick ring upstairs.
This was why we were chatting shit.
Yeah, whilst we were chatting shit, and they went, "Hiya, it's Freddie from CEX," and we went. And like yelped. It was terrifying. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
Oh man, I've never been so embarrassed because you just walked off.
I
'cause
did
you didn't
just
need
walk
to
off.
be there.
I could not stand to be there. I had to go round the corner and just like shit myself and also laugh myself to death.
I had to
could
stay
not
there
be there.
because my credit card was probably being used or something.
Yeah. I think your card was in the machine actually.
My card was somewhere, and I was like, I can't just leave. I want this game, and I need my card back. Oh god.
Yeah, this is happening. But I had to leave and like shuffle around the corner because I was not keeping a straight face. And then, long story
Meanwhile,
short,
I was not keeping a straight face in front of the man in question.
Yes. And then, long story short, I then proceeded to work there. Like
Yeah,
a year
you got a
and
job
half later.
there,
And
he
worked
is
with the guy.
legitimately called Freddie. He wasn't like
Yeah.
trying to make us feel bad. He is actually called
Yep.
Freddie.
Either
It's just
that
out of all the
or-
names that we could have picked, it happened to be the one. How many names are there in the world, man?
Oh
Loads.
god, too many.
And it happened to be the one of the man.
Have you heard
serving
about
us.
that guy whose name is like, he's in Sweden? It's like SLRR, and it's just like a bunch of letters and numbers all in random
named
order.
after the car or
The car?
SLR?
No.
No.
I'm sure just named. And the parents was like, yeah, it's pronounced Alvin.
Just name him Alvin. Here's one for you. I don't know if you know the names of Jamie Oliver's children.
I don't.
Jamie Oliver's a TV chef around here.
Around here, do you just mean?
Well, yeah, he's pretty global, isn't he? Actually,
Probably, yeah.
You probably know Jamie
Apparently,
Oliver.
Jamie Oliver is supposed to be one of the shittest TV chefs out there. Like the shittest cook.
he's not. He's got nothing going for him. You know, Gordon
No.
Ramsay, he's great. I love him
And
to
swears.
bits. He swears.
But apparently, he's like
Greg
Gordon
Wallace,
Ramsay's pretty
love Greg
good.
Wallace.
But apparently, Jamie Oliver's just like, yeah, he's literally just a face.
I don't know what he really does. He cooks some stuff. And Harry Bikers, they're good. I love watching.
Apparently, the
Harry
head
Bikers.
writers are pretty good too.
They're just funny. I just
They are
like watching
funny.
them. They're funny. But anyway, Jamie Oliver has named. He's got 5 kids, 3 daughters, 2 sons. Right?
Can I guess what their names are?
You'll never be able to guess what their names.
Is it
are.
like Oliver, or
The last names are Oliver, obviously.
Well,
But
yeah,
no,
the
nothing
first
like
name's
that.
Oliver. Is it like food related?
Um,
Also, is his name actually Oliver?
Jamie Oliver, apparently. Well, because all of his kids' last names are Oliver. So
Okay,
it's quite a good name, Jamie Oliver.
Jamie Oliver. Yeah, it is.
Quite a good name, actually. Well, I don't know if they're intentionally food related. Only there's like
Knew it.
no, it's not. It's not. You'll see what I mean when I read them, right?
Okay.
I don't know what order this is in, but I'm just going to do the order it's telling me here. First one, Petal Blossom Rainbow Oliver.
Fuck off.
Second one, Buddy Bear Maurice Oliver.
Why?
Third one, this is a daughter. Oh, that was a daughter, then son, now back to daughter. Daisy Boo Pamela Oliver.
Daisy Boo.
Daisy B-O-O Pamela Oliver. another daughter, Poppy Honey Rosie Oliver. And last one, son, River Rocket Oliver.
Why? Just name your
That's a son called River.
River Rocket.
River
My name is.
Rocket.
He will be bullied. He will be tortured, and probably he will use a fake name. I don't understand that.
That is proper mental.
That Daisy
Hell,
Boo
here's-
girl
here's
is
the
going to
one.
just go by Pamela,
The
and
inspiration.
she's not even going to like that.
No, Pam.
It's just not kind.
But that will come up on driver's license,
Yeah.
passports,
everything
everything
else.
basically. I have something quite interesting that you might enjoy.
Go ahead.
It's
I'm looking
it's a fact about
Ooh.
animals and things and insects. There is a parasite
Right.
that lives inside, well, that can live inside a fish. It lives in a stickleback fish,
Right.
and it gets in there, and it changes the mentality of the fish to almost like a suicidal kind of mentality, because this parasite needs warm blood to be able to survive and mate and increase in numbers. But
Reproduce.
stickleback, as fish have cold blood, they can't reproduce.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah.
Thinking of the
Exact
the
word.
exact
that you
word,
Need.
I'd say ended up saying about 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs this parasite needs warm blood to reproduce, and the stickleback, being a fish, has cold blood. So over the millions of years it's been about, has developed the ability to change the mentality of the stickleback to make it kind of suicidal and get eaten by a bird. Sort of changes its
So it
way,
can live
so
in
it
the bird.
forces itself to get eaten by a bird. But that bird eats the fish. It's like, yeah, good, I've got some good grub. Parasite gets into the bird, has warm blood, and reproduces.
Wow. And I would guess that bird would then shit into the ocean along
Probably.
with the
And then
Parasite.
releases all the other parasites back into the ocean, get into more fish.
where it's eaten.
Yeah.
That's really clever.
It's genius.
Yeah. Well.
That is genius. How do
Well-
you learn that? Never mind how do you...
Well, it didn't learn that. It just kind of doesn't just kind of happen. Like it doesn't learn it.
No.
Like it's like, well, I could do this, or
You
I
don't-
could
yeah, it's
make
not
it
like they go to
into a
school and
suicidal
stuff
thing.
like
but
that.
it's not far off from that.
No.
I guess it's a kind of like reproductive instinct. Have you heard about the fungi that takes over bugs?
No.
I can't remember what bugs they are, but they're just like some bugs. I remember seeing one which was actually a squirrel, and it drives it to go up to a different tree or into the ground and burrow, or go to these different places, which is essentially another food source, and it hooks onto the back of to the back of its brain and essentially drives it, and that's all it does until it gets to the food source, where it finally kills the animal, stops it dead, feeds off of the remains of the animal and or bug, and then parks itself in the food source of whatever it's moved to.
So someone else picks it up.
Yeah,
Very much kind of
like a
like the
tree.
parasite.
Yeah, it's a fungi, which is
Yeah.
very similar.
It's amazing how stuff like that can happen. There was a story about a leech, and if you teach a leech to make its way through a maze, like i.e. the maze to get to the blood kind of thing,
Yeah.
melt the leech down, so dissolve it, and you feed that to another leech,
And it would learn.
it will know how to get there through liquid memory.
Jesus. That's dark.
It is dark. And to what extent can you use that? Could you do that with people?
No, because I imagine that's also a very basic learning thing, and we're a hell of a lot more complicated.
Basic? That sounds pretty...
Well, a maze compared to quantum
Yeah,
dynamics.
but how far could you go?
Well, yeah,
And
that's a good question.
I guess it wouldn't be too... Because leeches, I'm sure, have a problem of writing down knowledge, obviously. They can't... i.e. they can't give people knowledge like we can, i.e. like books and lectures and things.
Yeah.
So I guess if you did that with a human, there's not much point, because the knowledge is already out there, unless they've kept something to themselves. But the knowledge is out there. That's a good point. Someone dies with... You know when people die when they're like, I need to tell you this one thing.
Yeah.
And then they die.
Yeah. Could you
Could
then
you then
dissolve it?
Dissolve
but then
their
you're gonna
brain,
also get
eat the brain, and then you know what they were going to tell you.
No, I mean, like,
It's far fetched, but
yeah, that is incredibly far fetched. Especially in psychology, there's a quite a broad limit on what you can do that is kind of scientifically relevant, which isn't bordering on cruel. Now, one of the most telling psychological studies are studies of neglect and isolation.
right.
And essentially, you can tell how much more of yourself is, innate or environmental, depending on their kind of levels of isolation. Like, there was a 13-year-old girl, I think, in the mid-90s who was discovered, who lived her entire life in one room with a picture, a potty, and a cot. That was it, in darkness, forever. And she was found when she was 13. And the study, and it's essentially it's a very good way to tell about how much of you is you through, like, when you are 13 years without any kind of outside environmental stimuli, how fucked up are you?
What is the most basic human being?
Yeah, and I believe she had essentially no social skills. Couldn't really talk or anything. Couldn't do anything. She explored most
things. If I was to
things.
make a prediction, it would have been, you don't know how to interact with anyone. You probably don't even know that anyone else exists.
Yeah.
You don't know how to speak. You don't know what language is. You don't know. Yeah, you know how to do all the involuntary things like breathe and blink and things like that. But you don't know. I guess you wouldn't really know what sort of the right thing is to eat, or maybe you would. I don't think you probably would. What would you even think about?
Well, that's a thing, because babies, and if you think about babies, they explore a lot with their mouths.
True.
And so she explored a hell of a lot with her mouth. She had no other way of exploring. And recently, in California...
Oh, is this the family that got found with... I read about this in the news, but I didn't look into it. I heard it on
this is
radio.
the first time I'm looking into it, because my mum told me about it, and she said that I'd find it very interesting, and she's correct. I just couldn't be bothered to look into it, because I'm a lazy piece of shit. But, essentially...
Yeah, there was like 13 kids found in the basement or something like that, weren't they?
Yes, I believe it was 2 to 29-year-old. A 2-year-old to 29-year-old. A 17-year-old girl escaped and found a phone lying around and called the police.
How did she know to do that?
The 13 starving siblings held captive in California house were allowed to eat only one rationed meal a day and shower just twice a year. A law enforcement official with knowledge of the case told
photos what they look like.
Yeah, I'm reading this from NBC, so
right.
They face possible torture and child endangerment charges. Officials have said the rooms inside the brown and beige 4-bedroom house were filled with urine. All of the children have been admitted to hospitals for treatment for severe malnutrition. They are receiving antibiotics, vitamins, and nutrients. The law... For fuck's sake, NBC, stop saying the law enforcement official said. Just, include it. Just put quote marks around it.
The law official said.
Well, 3 fucking sentences in a row, they said the law enforcement official said.
Just put it all in one go.
Just put fucking bullet points. Make it easier to read. Doctors were concerned about the kids going into shock since they are so malnourished. Psychologists will be brought to evaluate them when their physical conditions improve. The official added. That level of isolation is incredibly interesting psychology-wise because of the same reasons that I said about that. But there's also, I don't know if you've ever seen about, have you ever heard Wolf Boy?
The person who lived with wolves.
Yeah, and legitimately a person in Russia.
Hair.
Yeah,
hairy.
Yeah, and was a person. And I believe he was raised from birth until 4 or 5 by wolves, and could not function as a child or a human being. And there's also a guy in the 1700s who walked out of the woods as about a 25-year-old.
Right.
Never said a word until his death.
Right.
Just no one knew who he was. He turned up. He died. That was it. There was no. He was just taken care of. He couldn't do anything. He came out of nowhere. And, like, this kind of thing is fucked up, like, when you actually think about it. Because if you are... I mean, that 29-year-old, the oldest, probably has got no hope. Well, he doesn't have any hope, sadly. He will never have a normal life.
He's missed almost half of it.
Everything about his life has been severely affected, like social-wise, you know, intelligence and kind of development, everything.
Well, even the 2-year-old might have some problems.
The 2-year-old probably does have problems, but I'm sure the 2-year-old will have much more to base it off of with 12
and it's
other...
probably easier to revert or something or to change. So
Yeah, and 12, and you know, he's got 12 other siblings to kind of go with. But my brother told me that the 17-year-old who found the phone and called the police was thought to be 12. She was so malnourished. But yeah, is it time to wrap up?
I think it's time to wrap up.
Okay.
It's getting a bit cold.
Yeah, it's quite cold in here actually.
And I also think it's time to finish the podcast.
This is just the one room in my house which is cold.
Yeah, this Eddie's house is usually like
boiling. Well, it is to everyone else.
Inside,
it's perfectly mine. It's perfectly fine to me.
Yeah, because
I don't know any difference.
Exactly, yeah. Eddie's being chained to his furniture
in the warmth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have been in significantly colder houses and basically died.
But anyway, yes, this has been installment 2 of the General Podcast
About general things.
You can find us on many different platforms, whatever suits you.
Whichever one you're finding this one on.
Yeah, but if there's one that... So, where are we on YouTube?
We are on YouTube. And are we on SoundCloud?
Yeah.
And iTunes.
And iTunes Podcast, yes.
Yes.
Whatever's easier for you.
Yes.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
See you soon.
See you next week.
Bye.
That wasn't intentional.
That was all.